Stop the presses. What started as a quiet civil lawsuit has exploded into a no-holds-barred legal brawl that now threatens to torch the reputation of NFL Hall of Famer and media juggernaut Shannon Sharpe. Cameras were rolling, jaws were dropping, and receipts were flying when the woman accusing Sharpe of emotional abuse and coercion crashed the Fulton County courthouse this morning, flanked by lawyers, a crisis PR handler, and a stack of damning allegations. What was supposed to be a dry scheduling hearing spiraled into a bombshell moment that set the internet on fire and sent Sharpe's media empire into freefall. And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, both sides are now accusing each other of blackmail, deception, and weaponizing sex, fame, and influence. This is no longer just a legal fight. This is a war for control of the narrative, and both camps came armed. Nobody saw this coming. Just when Shannon Sharpe's legal team thought they were gaining control of the narrative, she walked in. The woman at the center of the civil lawsuit, whose identity had been shielded for weeks, made a surprise appearance at the downtown Los Angeles courthouse this morning. Flanked by two attorneys and shielded by oversized sunglasses, she stepped onto the courthouse steps and broke her silence in front of a stunned media crowd. "I'm not afraid anymore," she said into the microphones, voice trembling but firm. He knows what he did, and now the world will too. It was a calculated, theatrical move, and social media exploded. Within minutes, #ShannonSharpe trended across platforms. TikTok lit up with live reaction videos, some replaying her exact words in slow motion. On X, formerly Twitter, timelines were divided, some shocked, others rallying behind her, others defending Sharpe in disbelief. Instagram stories flooded with screen grabs of the courthouse moment, bold captions like "This just got real" and "No more NDAs." No more silence. This wasn't just another celebrity scandal. This was a powder keg, and the fuse had been lit. Would you like the next section to cover how influencers, legal analysts, and Sharpe's camp reacted in real time? Before today's media firestorm, she was just initials on a court document. AB, a former fitness entrepreneur who built her brand on Instagram and boutique training programs in Miami. In early 2023, her name was whispered in elite circles, but never splashed across headlines. That changed when she filed a civil lawsuit against Shannon Sharpe in late 2024, detailing a series of disturbing allegations that, if true, paint a very different picture of the former NFL star. According to the complaint, the two first met at a private sports industry party in Miami in March 2023. AB claims what began as a flirtatious conversation quickly evolved into what she now calls a manipulative entanglement, one allegedly marked by coercion, power plays, and ultimately unwanted sexual advances. The filing accuses Sharpe of using his celebrity influence to isolate and intimidate her, culminating in one specific incident at a luxury hotel in South Beach that she describes as the night everything changed. The civil suit was filed quietly. No press conference, no media tour, but word got out fast. Once the documents were made public, social media turned into a digital battleground. Some users expressed outrage and disbelief, while others questioned the timing and motives. On Reddit and X, threads analyzed every line of the court papers, comparing timestamps with Sharpe's known appearances and travel logs. IG bloggers and TikTok commentators speculated if more women might come forward. At that moment, it wasn't just a lawsuit, it was the beginning of a storm that's only gotten darker with time. Just when the public thought it couldn't get messier, Shannon Sharpe fired back hard. In a blistering 64-page countersuit, his legal team accused AB of orchestrating an elaborate extortion scheme. According to the filing, Sharpe claimed she demanded a 7-figure payout in exchange for keeping quiet, threatening to destroy his reputation with what he now alleges were falsified text messages, edited screenshots, and manipulated audio clips. The countersuit paints AB not as a victim, but as a calculated opportunist who allegedly plotted to leverage a brief relationship into financial gain. Sharpe's attorneys didn't mince words. They called the original lawsuit a malicious attempt to defame a high-profile black media figure during the height of his career resurgence. They even cited specific wire transfers and encrypted messages to support their claim that hush money was requested and rejected. Then came the leaks. Clips, allegedly from AB's private DMs and voice memos, began surfacing on X and YouTube. Some seemed to show her bragging about getting compensated and laughing about how the internet would eat it up. But Sharpe's team insisted these clips were part of a deliberate PR offensive, not raw evidence. They demanded platform takedowns, issuing cease and desist to multiple gossip accounts and threatening lawsuits against any outlet that ran the footage without context. Meanwhile, Shannon himself wasn't silent. He made a surprise appearance on Club Shay Shay, his own show, delivering a cryptic message about lies catching up to the liars. No names were dropped, but the message was loud and clear. And behind the scenes, his PR team went into overdrive, planting supportive op-eds, launching a digital cleanup campaign, and lining up character witnesses ready to testify on his behalf. This wasn't just a legal war anymore. It was a full-blown media chess match. Then, just as Shannon's countersuit started gaining traction, the woman at the center of the storm, known publicly only as AB, made her move. Cameras swarmed the courthouse steps as she appeared without warning, flanked by two attorneys and holding a thick manila folder in one hand. What followed was nothing short of explosive. In a measured but defiant tone, AB addressed the crowd directly. "I'm not hiding. I'm not backing down, and I will not be bullied into silence." She claimed that Shannon's team was spinning narratives while suppressing critical evidence. According to her statement, she has full phone backups, unedited screenshots, and raw, uncompressed footage from multiple devices. Not clips, the entire timeline from their alleged encounter in Miami to the aftermath that unfolded across weeks. She said the clips currently circulating have been cherry-picked and misrepresented to smear her credibility. Then came a gut punch. She turned to the cameras and issued a direct challenge to Shannon Sharpe. "If you're telling the truth, release it all. Every message, every call log, every video. Let the world see the full picture." The crowd erupted. Within minutes, clips of her statement were plastered across X, TikTok, and Instagram, with the hashtag release the receipts trending in under an hour. Fans, detractors, and legal analysts alike jumped into the fray, some praising her composure, others accusing her of staging a spectacle. But one thing was certain. AB had flipped the script, and now all eyes were back on Shannon to see if he'd respond or retreat. The morning after the courthouse showdown, the legal chessboard shifted again. Inside a packed Los Angeles courtroom, the presiding judge laid down the rules for what comes next, and both sides left with more to lose than ever before. First, the judge denied Shannon Sharpe's request for a protective order, meaning none of the digital records, from text messages and emails to cloud-stored videos and call logs, will be sealed by default. That opens the door for media leaks, public interpretation, and non-stop scrutiny as both legal teams dig through months of personal data. Second, the court ordered an expedited discovery schedule, giving both parties 60 days to exchange evidence. That includes iCloud backups, deleted files, device metadata, and social media DMs. In other words, everything is now fair game. Legal analysts quickly pointed out the risk. Discovery under these conditions could expose not just what happened between Shannon and AB, but potentially embarrassing side details, third-party messages, prior relationships, financial transactions, and brand correspondences. For Shannon, whose media image and lucrative partnerships hinge on trust and integrity, the stakes just skyrocketed. And for AB, whose credibility is still under the microscope, this is both her opportunity and her tightrope walk. Because now, every receipt is coming out, whether they like it or not. As the courtroom battle intensified, the shockwaves hit Shannon Sharpe's business empire like a freight train. Within 24 hours of the press conference and judge's ruling, ESPN was in full-blown crisis mode behind closed doors. According to insider leaks, a high-level emergency meeting was called with Disney Legal and ESPN's PR team, not to protect Sharpe, but to prepare for possible damage control. Sharpe's role on First Take was suddenly under the microscope. With headlines blaring across TMZ, CNN, and Shade Room, ESPN execs faced growing internal pressure from staff and HR advisors to reconsider his on-air presence, at least temporarily. Sources say some producers argued to pull him from the next week's show, fearing further reputational fallout. But others, worried about ratings, pushed back. That's because First Take's numbers, once buoyed by Sharpe's viral moments, took a noticeable dip this week. Viewer comments across X and Reddit blasted the show for keeping him on air, while clips of awkward on-set moments trended for the wrong reasons. Meanwhile, sponsors weren't waiting around. A major protein brand quietly scrubbed Shannon's image from its site, while a planned sneaker collaboration set to launch in July has been officially postponed pending legal clarity. One athletic brand insider said bluntly, "The vibe is too messy. We're out until further notice." From endorsements to airtime, the industry message is clear. You might beat the case, but you might lose everything else before you get there. As the legal drama unfolds, public opinion is breaking down along sharp, emotional lines, and social media has turned into a battleground. Recent overnight polling shows a nearly even split, with 47% siding with Shannon Sharpe, citing concerns over false allegations and reputation destruction, while 44% believe the accuser's story deserves deeper investigation. The remaining 9%? Caught in the chaos, unsure who to trust. On Instagram and X, two hashtags are leading the charge. Hashtag Protect Our Icons and hashtag Survivor Voices. The former, often backed by longtime Sharpe fans and some celebrity allies, is pushing the narrative that this is a character assassination attempt, orchestrated to bring down a successful black man at the height of his influence. But hashtag Survivor Voices is growing fast, especially among women's advocacy pages and Gen Z creators, demanding transparency, accountability, and full disclosure of the evidence on both sides. The leaked text messages only deepen the divide. One viral thread dissected the tone, timestamps, and emotional language of the texts, suggesting breadcrumb grooming. Others countered with side-by-side receipts, pointing to possible message cropping and timeline manipulation. Some conspiracy theorists have gone further, alleging a coordinated smear campaign by corporate enemies jealous of Sharpe's rise as a media mogul. Even within Sharpe's own fanbase, cracks are forming. Fitness influencers who once praised him are now silent. Sports fans are split, with some defending him as a victim of clout chasing, while others say the optics alone are too much to ignore. The court may decide the facts, but on social media, the verdict is being rewritten every hour. Shannon Sharpe's countersuit may have been designed as a bold power move, but legal experts are warning it could become a high-stakes gamble with no safe exit. By filing a 64-page defamation countersuit, Sharpe essentially invited full judicial scrutiny, not just of the accuser's claims, but of his own behavior, communication history, and digital trail. And that door? Once opened, it rarely swings back shut. According to defamation attorneys speaking under anonymity, Sharpe now faces the legal burden of proving actual malice, meaning he has to show that the accuser not only lied, but did so with full knowledge and intent to cause reputational harm. That's a steep bar in any case, but especially dangerous in one where both sides are now required to turn over extensive records. Emails, texts, metadata, call logs, even deleted messages and backups from cloud storage. One entertainment litigator broke it down bluntly. A defamation countersuit isn't just a defense tactic. It's a declaration of war. And wars come with casualties. Already, subpoenas are being prepared for Sharpe's internal PR communications, coordination with ESPN Legal, and personal correspondence in the lead-up to the countersuit filing. That means if there were any off-the-record attempts to silence the accuser, pay for discretion, or control narrative spin, they can now be forced into daylight. Legal analysts are also warning of reputational risk. By asking for full transparency, you have to live with what that transparency reveals, says media law professor Regina Morris. And if there's even a whiff of manipulation or coercion, especially with how plugged in the public is, his entire brand could collapse overnight. Sharpe might be betting on vindication, but in the courtroom of public opinion, the risk of exposure might outweigh the reward. As the case barrels toward a high-stakes evidentiary showdown, both sides are preparing for what insiders are calling the metadata wars. Forget courtroom theatrics. This battle will play out in gigabytes and geolocation pings. At the center are three key categories of digital evidence: smartphone metadata, rideshare logs, and hotel keycard activity. The accuser claims she has airtight digital proof, placing her and Sharpe at specific Miami locations during critical windows in early 2023. Her legal team submitted phone screenshots and timestamp videos, but now Sharpe's digital forensics team is demanding the original file metadata, unedited, raw, and cross-referenced against cellular tower records. If even one timestamp doesn't align, it could shake her entire narrative. On Sharpe's end, his attorneys are pushing to include rideshare receipts and hotel access logs that they argue will show he wasn't where the accuser claims at the time she alleges. But again, this only adds fuel to the evidentiary arms race. Both sides are now bringing in forensic tech specialists, experts who can analyze file creation dates, GPS trails, and message integrity, even recovering deleted text from iCloud and backup systems. And just as the public tried to keep up, TikTok made everything worse. A viral reconstruction video claiming to show Sharpe and the accuser at a Miami hotel turned out to be completely fake, stitched together from older, unrelated footage. The clip racked up over 3 million views before it was taken down, and by then, the misinformation had already flooded Instagram threads and Reddit forums. That incident triggered a cascade of conspiracy theories and edited timelines, with online sleuths now poring over screenshots and cross-posting unverified content. One now debunked theory even claimed hotel staff had spoken out, before the supposed witness turned out to be a burner account running fake engagement bots. In this climate, the truth isn't just hard to find, it's drowning in noise, and both sides know it. The question now: whose evidence survives digital forensics, and whose story collapses under scrutiny? As the civil suit turns into a high-profile powder keg, the NFL Players Association, NFLPA, is quietly monitoring the situation. Because even though Shannon Sharpe is long retired, the lawsuit's implications could shake the future of ex-athletes turned media titans. Sources say internal memos within the NFLPA have flagged potential conflicts around morality and conduct clauses that extend into post-career partnerships. Sharpe isn't just a commentator, he's a legacy figure. And if those conduct expectations get retroactively applied, we could see a slippery slope for dozens of retired players making millions in media deals. The concern is about precedent. If an ex-player under civil litigation can cause this much disruption at Disney-owned ESPN, what happens the next time a similar case surfaces? Multiple sports agents are reportedly reviewing contracts tied to Fox Sports, NBC, and Amazon, trying to parse where the lines blur between personal conduct and public persona. Meanwhile, advocacy groups have seized the moment. Organizations focused on survivors' rights and digital harassment are mobilizing around the accuser's courthouse appearance, calling for more robust vetting processes for ex-athletes transitioning into primetime media roles. Several have already penned open letters to ESPN and the NFL, demanding transparency on background checks and internal accountability frameworks. And then there's the media ethics war raging behind the scenes. Some newsroom insiders are questioning how platforms like First Take allowed Sharpe to comment on other athletes' conduct while having unresolved civil allegations looming. Should he have been benched pending investigation? Or does silencing him risk implying guilt prematurely? This isn't just a scandal. It's a collision between fame, power, and the responsibilities of influence. The ripple effect may force media giants to overhaul how they manage talent coming from professional sports, especially when unresolved allegations threaten to upend their billion-dollar branding machines. At the center of the legal firestorm sits a man with more than just his reputation on the line. Shannon Sharpe's brand is a $22 million empire, built on charisma, credibility, and crossover appeal. But analysts now warn that all of it may be in serious freefall. According to media valuation firm Heller & Company, Sharpe's estimated net worth is largely tied to ongoing revenue streams, not just past NFL earnings. We're talking lucrative podcast deals, undisclosed back-end equity from a show Club Shay Shay, and brand integrations across YouTube and Instagram that command 5 to 6 figures per post. But as of last week, up to 40% of that brand value is at risk. It's not just theoretical anymore. The money's already moving. 2 sponsors have quietly backed out of upcoming Club Shay Shay episodes, and a planned apparel drop with a major sneaker brand has been postponed indefinitely. On YouTube, ad revenue is already showing a steep decline, with at least 3 advertisers opting to pause pre-roll campaigns. Combine that with whispers of pause clauses in his ESPN contract, and you're looking at a slow financial hemorrhage. One ad executive told us off the record, when there's litigation that involves personal conduct, brands don't wait for verdicts. They pull out first and ask questions later. And this is before discovery even drops. If the leaked texts and metadata pile further damage onto his public image, Sharpe's financial ceiling could collapse into a liability. The brand he built as a cultural commentator, influencer, and businessman is suddenly showing cracks. Because in 2025, scandal doesn't just cancel people, it devalues them. As the smoke clears from the latest legal volley, all eyes are now fixed on June 12th. The date of the high-stakes evidentiary hearing that could reshape not just this case, but the entire narrative orbiting Shannon Sharpe and his accuser. This isn't just another procedural update. This hearing will determine which pieces of evidence will be formally admitted, which ones may be tossed out, and how much of the truth will actually be seen by the public. The judge has already signaled that both parties will be required to turn over key digital records before that date, including raw text threads, GPS metadata, hotel logs, rideshare receipts, and complete digital media archives. If any gaps or inconsistencies appear, it could upend either side's credibility, and it all happens under oath on the record. The media frenzy is only going to intensify. Outlets are already gearing up for gavel-to-gavel coverage, with some networks preparing live legal panels and YouTube creators stacking their content calendars around the hearing. Expect the TikTok legal analyst to explode again in the week leading up, especially if Sharpe or the accuser leaks more material, or if either party tries to secure a last-minute protective order to shield potentially damaging evidence. On social media, things are expected to hit another boiling point. Fan factions are already forming war rooms, with digital sleuths poring over every leaked message, photo timestamp, and supposed gotcha detail. Even AI tools are being used to analyze speech patterns and match up clips. Because in this trial-by-internet era, everyone's a forensic expert and everyone's a judge. But here's the brutal truth. While the court of public opinion never sleeps, it has no subpoena power, no evidentiary standards, and no appeal process. The memes might be brutal. The hashtags might trend. The brands might panic. But none of that changes what happens in the courtroom. The actual court, with its deadlines, motions, cross-examinations, and legal strategy, is moving on its own timeline. And come June 12th, no matter what narrative is dominating Instagram or trending on X, only one version of the story will matter, the one that holds up under legal scrutiny. That's what's next. And as we approach that critical date, the stakes for reputations, for revenue, for justice itself have never been higher.